Alright, Victorum gaming fans and fans of Victory at Sea, we're back with another video. Today we're going to cover the traits for the various weapons, ships, and aircraft in the game. So there's quite a few here so far, and I imagine we'll get more as the game grows. So jumping right in, starting off with advanced radar. So as the war progressed, better surface radar systems were developed. A ship with this trait may track enemy fleets for longer and from a greater distance. So ships committed to scouting with the advanced radar trait gain +2 to their dice roll and can re-roll the dice. So very good stuff there. So especially if you're trying to scan for over the horizon and things like that, very good stuff there. So a bonus is always nice, and then a re-roll on top of it is even better. So really good stuff there. Agile, which you'll see in a lot of destroyers, for example. Some ships are very maneuverable, either by virtue of their speed and size or advanced rudder systems. An agile ship may change direction after every 1 of forward movement as opposed to the usual 2 inches. So basically just letting you make tighter turns and ultimately more turns with your available movement. So really good stuff there. So just being able to outturn and get yourself into favorable positions with ships that have that. Aircraft X. Though not proper carriers in the truest sense, many ships carried a small number of aircraft that were launched from short catapults or slings to be used as observation flights. So they are used for scouting and guiding beyond the horizon attacks, so which we'll cover in separate videos. But basically, in this game, you can actually keep certain ships off the map, like aircraft carriers, and that way they're relatively protected. So being able to reach out and deal with those ships a little bit more effectively is crucial. And then scouting is something we'll talk about. Basically, it's sort of a pre-game phase that has all kinds of different effects on how a battle might turn out. So, but we'll cover that in a separate video as well. So, but yeah, any of your cruisers, battleships, and stuff like that that have aircraft to launch, definitely a good added feature for those. Armored deck. The ship has reinforced armor lining its deck, main guns, and light guns firing upon the ship don't get the +1 bonus to their damage dice for plunging fire. So again, plunging fire is something where if you're shooting from a far distance, basically the shots are actually arcing down onto the top, which would give you a chance for more damage, but this negates that. Additionally, attacks against the ship from aircraft with the dive bomber and kamikaze rolls suffer a -1 penalty to their damage dice rolls. So armored deck, definitely something good for you. Carrier, which should probably be pretty obvious, but the ship is an aircraft carrier serving as a mobile floating airbase. It may launch or collect 1 aircraft flight per turn, so long as its captain does not perform any orders other than scramble this turn. See page 18 for details. So, and as we've talked about there with the orders, there is that one order basically to do 2 flights per turn. So, but yeah, carrier, obviously those will be designated as such. I imagine we'll have the light carriers or escort carriers and the full-on main carriers. Lumbering, the ship is particularly ungainly in the water and may only make 1 change of direction during its movement. Additionally, lumbering ships may not use the evade order. Makes sense. So the big unmaneuverable ships. Radar, the ship is fitted with a surface radar system that allows it to operate effectively at long ranges, ideal for scouting enemy fleet movements. Ships committed to scouting with the radar trait gain +1 to their dice roll and can re-roll their dice. So really good stuff there. Torpedo belt X. So a thick reinforced layer of armor, often supplemented with individual compartments filled with gas or water, lies beneath the waterline of the ship and is capable of minimizing the effects of a torpedo hit. Whenever the ship is hit by a torpedo in its side arcs, the torpedo belt score will be deducted from each damage dice rolled by the torpedo weapon system attack. So, and torpedoes, as you'll see with the various destroyers and even cruisers that have access to them, or even the airplanes, those can cause some serious damage. And having that armor belt is definitely going to be a way to mitigate that. So, but torpedoes can then very quickly make up for ships' maybe lack of like guns or firepower in that regard. So, all right, moving on. Weapon traits. So, devastating. The weapon is exceptionally powerful, capable of blasting small targets apart and causing serious problems for even the largest vessels. Instead of causing 1 point of damage with each successful damage dice roll, a devastating weapon will cause an amount of damage equal to what each damage dice actually rolls, regardless of whether it exceeds the target's armor score or not. Oh, that's brutal. In addition, a critical hit is scored for every 5 or 6 as opposed to the usual 6, and before any modification by torpedo belts. Any critical hits scored will have a critical score equal to the roll of 1 dice. If the location already has a critical score that is higher than the dice roll, the new critical hit is ignored. So very nasty stuff there. So be wary of being shot at or on the receiving end of those weapons. DP, dual purpose. So you see that with a lot of the light guns on destroyers, for example. But light guns are capable of attacking surface, shipping, or aircraft, making them extremely versatile. So up to half of a DP weapon's current attack dice, minimum of 1, may be used as AA weapons to attack aircraft or motor torpedo boats at up to half the weapon's normal range. However, this weapon may not be used in the same turn to attack other units. So giving you some flexibility there. So especially, again, destroyers usually will have access to those, and some battleships and cruisers will have a fair number of these as well. So a good, useful trait to have for your weapons. All right, moving on. Fast track. These guns can readjust their aim quickly, making them well suited to firing upon rapidly moving ships. Fast track weapons ignore the penalty for firing upon a fast moving target and can attack all targets within its point blank range. So really nice for dealing with things that move more than 6 inches. So typically destroyers, certain cruisers, especially some of the Japanese ones, and other things like that. So very nice ability to have. Heavy. Next up with this trait are weapons with this trait are capable of blasting through armor to damage critical areas of a target. The chance of a critical hit is on a 5 or 6 rather than the normal 6. So again, another nice ability. Crits, as we'll see in another video, are just absolutely devastating in this game, and the way that the damage can accumulate and grow, even without you necessarily causing more damage, is pretty brutal. So getting more crits will be very detrimental to the enemy. All right, last couple here for the weapons. Actually got a couple more. Most AA weapons, local X. Most AA weapons mounted on ships have very short ranges and are only capable of protecting their own vessel. This weapon may roll an additional number of attack dice equal to the local score, but these may only be used against flights in contact with the ship. In addition, these attack dice may also be rolled against any and all flights that physically move over the ship in the movement phase. These attacks are performed immediately as the aircraft are moved over the ship. Local weapons may be used any number of times during the movement phase and may then be used just once in the gunnery phase. So having access to that will definitely help you whittle down airplanes as well. And again, another, not quite the same as the dual purpose guns, but just a more than one use basically out of them. So one shot, as you might expect, is a one-time thing. So ammunition or payload is limited for this weapon, so once it's fired, it's gone for the rest of the battle. So a lot of torpedo systems, for example. Restricted. Some ships are so large that they mount many light guns and not all can be fired at the same target. A restricted weapon may only fire a maximum of half its dice against targets in the port and starboard 90-degree arcs. And then slow loading. Some weapons take an inordinate amount of time to reload. These weapons may not fire if they were used in the previous turn. Ships with slow loading torpedoes may only reload once, after which they may no longer be used. So basically, if you have slow loading, you basically get 2 salvos per torpedo system. Twin-linked. These weapons are mounted in pairs or even quads, concentrating their available firepower. The hail of fire these weapons systems can unleash is awesome to behold and very difficult to avoid. Any attack dice for this weapon that don't successfully strike their target may be re-rolled, although the second one applies even if it fails, which makes sense, but is also obviously fine. Getting the re-roll is the important part there. So yeah, just more chances to get hits with weapons that are considered that. So good stuff there. And then weak, which you'll see on like a lot of light gun systems, for example. So they do have a little bit of a struggle against more armored targets. Due to small shell size or design, some weapons are simply not as powerful as others. Weak weapons cannot cause critical hits except against ships of the civilian type. So again, a lot of the very light systems will suffer from that. And then we get a couple of aircraft traits. So large. The flight is particularly large or ungainly and thus easier for AA battery crews to knock out of the sky. All AA attack dice rolled against the flight have a +1 bonus to their results. So yeah, anything like bombers, for example, will just be easier to target with AA. Makes sense. Large bombers, that is. Tough. This flight is unusually well armored and can withstand incoming fire. 2 hits are needed from a single AA battery system in order to destroy it. Okay, and then very tough. as you might expect, is basically one extra. This flight is exceptionally well armored and can endure tremendous amounts of incoming fire. 3 hits are needed from a single AA battery system in order to destroy it. So, yeah, so normally 1 hit tough will make it 2, and then very tough will make it 3. So pretty easy progression there. And then that is basically the aircraft traits for now. So in total, that basically covers about 2 pages here of traits for the game. So, and again, I imagine we'll get more as the game grows and as we add a couple of the other smaller fleets and things like that, and as we just get more ships and everything else. So hope you guys enjoy this little video. Again, we're covering the traits here for Victory at Sea. If you could, give us a like and then a subscribe if you haven't already, and stay tuned for more.